This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We are at Revolution Jewelry Works. Since 2013, they have been providing unique fine jewelry, custom jewelry design for consumers here of Colorado Springs, as well as jewelers across the country. I am here with the owner, the master faceter. Let's begin first of all, Jennifer. You began the company here rather new, now in 2013, but quite honestly, many years before that, even growing up as a child, hanging out with your brothers, you found an appreciation for stones, rocks, fossils, crystals. Share with me how you evolved and got involved in this industry.
Well, I lucked out that my husband was interested in getting into rock hounding with me. And so just after we had gotten married, we went to a place called Crystal Park, Montana. And it's a dig site, so you're guaranteed to find something when you're there. And we came back with about 10 pounds of quartz crystals. And we had an anniversary that came around, and he said, "Why don't we get you a diamond pendant?" And then I said, "I'd rather do something with one of these crystals." And he said, "You should see if you can get it cut." And I thought, I didn't even know that was an option, and asked around to a few different jewelers and was actually introduced to a master cutter here in Colorado Springs. And so after calling him and sitting down over a cup of coffee and talking about how I grew up playing in the rocks, he finally said, "If you like rocks this much, you should learn to cut." And that was the deciding factor. I said, if you want to teach, I'm more than happy to learn. And I did an apprenticeship with him. He moved me into kind of a journeyman status where I was able to do repairs for his clients through him. And then he turned me loose and he said, "There is nothing that you're going to figure out, so go out and start a business," because he said that he really thought that I could take it somewhere. And I started my business a week after that.
A week after that, you didn't mess around. You just said, "Okay, I'm going to do this." Let me ask you this. Obviously, consumers, we cherish and enjoy our jewelry, not only because of the beauty that it brings us, but also because it's kind of an extension of ourselves. When you formally began this training in 2003, is this kind of an extension of yourself as well?
Absolutely. I always wanted to go the route of, working in media or something like that, but it wasn't my passion. And rocks has always been in the background. And so when I went into the business, I approached it with open arms, and I wanted it to be an educational experience for anyone that worked with me. Just because I knew so much about rocks from actually doing the rock hounding, I was able to identify a lot of things. And I thought that it would be more fun to be able to, as I'm teaching people, why you cut a stone a certain way and why it's better to buy a Western cut stone versus a foreign cut stone, I thought that consumers would appreciate that and have a better appreciation for the jewelry they are buying. And this being my passion, I geek out every time that I get to talk to somebody and teach them something they didn't know.
Wonderful. Teach our viewers, if you will, what a stone faceter does. Are all jewelers stone faceters or vice versa? How does that work?
Absolutely not. There are people that work with metal, and there are people that work with stones, and there are very few that can work with both. And that's why I have a metalsmith here at the studio. My specialty and my primary focus is stone cutting. And I have a fear of fire, and you kind of have to like fire to work with jewelry. But with stone cutting, it's not like you think with the old Snow White movies where the dwarves are, in the mine and they're, clinking with hammers, right? That's how you mine the stones. But when it actually comes to faceting, it's very much like sanding a piece of wood. You start with a really heavy grit, and you do, initial abrasive shaping of the stone, and you move to a finer and finer grit. You start creating the facets, and then you get to where you're doing a high polish, and you have to cut a stone on two different sides. You cut the bottom of the stone first, the pavilion, and then you cut the crown.
That's amazing. I'd be nervous to be working on something that I was afraid I would chip away or do something wrong with. Let me ask you this. One of the things that you're obviously able to help consumers here in Colorado Springs across your counter, you're also able to service jewelers across the country.
Yes, word has gotten out very quickly that there are a few master stonecutters left in the United States. There aren't a lot of us. So much of the work is going overseas, and with that in mind, most people feel that there isn't that sense of accountability when you're shipping something overseas for a repair. And so I've had jewelers all over the country seek me out because they've gotten my name as a referral from another jeweler saying, this is a person that you can trust your gemstones with. And I've had stones worth $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 shipped to me before. On a handshake and a referral, and it speaks volumes. It's very flattering to me that other jewelers think, enough to put my name out there.
Wonderful, definite trust they put in you. Let me ask you this. Obviously, behind every great custom jewelry piece that we see here is a great design. So share with me a little bit about the process of just creating the design in-house.
When we're doing custom design, typically we're working with people who have an idea of something, but they haven't been able to find it anywhere. And that's where we get a starting point. They'll come in and they'll say, well, I saw this design online and I loved it, but there's things that I would change. We've had people go into different jewelry stores and say, well, I like that from that design, I like that from that jeweler, but again, not seeing the culmination of everything. And so we take those ideas and we start sketching. After we've completed a sketch, we move it into a CAD design where we're actually building the architecture of the jewelry digitally. And that way, the person who's making that purchase can actually see a digital rendering that looks very similar to a photograph of what their finished piece could look like. And then, they come in, they go through that approval process, and then it's a matter of getting the wax and creating the piece. But it starts with that rendering and putting those ideas together.
That's amazing. So quite honestly, you're able to build the vision digitally so they can take a look at it and really have some input as far as the piece that it's going along. Once that is completed and done, you can obviously talk about material. I mean, are you able to work in anything, be it gold, silver, platinum, palladium, you name it?
Yes, absolutely. There are certain metals that are more difficult to work with that require a lot more heat for casting. And so in the cases of platinum and palladium, we'll ship to a subcontractor to do the pouring of the metal, but still all of the gemstones stay here on site. And so all of the finishing work, 100% of it is completed here. And that's where people can actually come in, and if they bring in a stone that's a family heirloom and they want to build a custom out of it, they can hold on to that gemstone until the day we're setting. And then when we go to setting, they can actually come and watch in our observation windows as we set that heirloom piece.
Very comfortable for the consumer then. They can easily trust the process in that way. Let me ask you, is it really the goal of your shop when you open to make sure that you have staff that are basically artisans within themselves and really understand and know about this type of work?
I really wanted to be the go-to place for custom, and I wanted to be able to hand-pick every employee based on their skill sets. And so, we've been needing to bring on another jeweler, and it was just a matter of finding the right person to complement not only our personalities, but our skill sets. And that, I think, is really important, that when you're coming here, you know that I've pre-screened everybody. It's not just someone who's taken a little bit of a jewelry training course and kind of knows how to size a ring. These people are artisans that I have seen their work, seen what they can do, and would wholly put my trust and my gemstones in their hands to be worked on.
Your gemstones in their hands. Share with us some of the stones you're able to work with. Just give me a sampling.
I have worked with everything from sphalerite, which is a very, very tender gemstone found here in Colorado, all the way up to diamonds. You can talk about every birthstone, sapphires, rubies, emeralds. The thing that I see the most of when it comes to gemstone repairs is people will have an heirloom ring that'll have a sapphire in it that grandma wore forever, and that sapphire looks almost like a pebble over the top now, and it's just abrasions over time, and so we'll do stone resurfacing, and we're able to return a ring that looks absolutely brand new just by resurfacing that stone and sometimes retipping the prongs. It's a miracle transformation, and it's the kind of thing, anytime we have a project like that come in, we'll post it on our Facebook page because we want people to see what the potential is in those heirloom pieces.
Absolutely. I mean, anymore, we as consumers, we have information abound. Are we curious? I mean, obviously we're investing in our jewelry with dollars, but are we worth investing our time so we really understand what it is that we own?
I think that it's important for people to have a better understanding of what to look for when they are jewelry shopping. You know, I can't assume that everyone is going to buy everything here all the time, but I want to teach people when they come in here the things to look for, so when they're on vacation, that they can make good buying decisions that will make those investments worthwhile.
It must be real, like you said, flattering for you knowing that folks trust you with their work, but also rewarding for you when somebody takes, let's say, a stone of a mother who basically is now passing it on to her daughter and incorporating other stones within this piece that is now an heirloom.
I love doing the refurbishments and reconstruction of pieces using those family stones and creating something that now has more meaning to them. A lot of people will inherit something that just isn't their style, and I want them to be able to keep the heritage of the piece there, but turn it into something they'll love and cherish and enjoy. And one of the big keys for me that makes it so satisfying is that once that piece is finished, I get to have a small part of their life for the rest of their lives, and that I love.
Wonderful. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is her website. On the website, first of all, check out the gallery. Like you say, she loves sharing the photos of actual work that she has been able to produce. And you can also learn more about her team that she has here. Everything pretty much takes place here in-house with your precious stones. And so, like she says, if you want to hold on to them till that very day when they're being set, you can do that as well. And also keep in mind, they've got a link there with some featured artists that they're able to have here in their shop as well. Obviously, like you said, a lot of refurbishing you love doing. What about repair work? Is that something that you specialize in as well?
Absolutely. We have a laser welder here that enables us to do work on filigree jewelry, so inherited pieces that really need to have some TLC paid to them. You know, you put the wrong amount of heat to them and it can actually melt the piece, which I've seen happen, you know, via other jewelers and needed to clean it up. So the laser welder enables us to do that finite, pinpoint work, but we can also do your traditional sizings, rhodium plating, yeah, just a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Is it a benefit to the consumers to have basically work with a designer where you basically have a metalsmith on board with your staff as well?
It's important because you actually get to come in and speak to the person who's going to be working on your jewelry. It's not like sitting down at a big box store that has a lot of salespeople that haven't necessarily had their hands on the jewelry. Whereas here, when you come in, anything that is being done to your jewelry can be explained by the expert who's going to be handling the work. It's a totally different scenario than going in and dealing with a salesperson who can give you the answers that you want to hear, but not necessarily what you need to hear.
Once again, very personal and very customized approach you decided to go with. Obviously, the vision begins in our head of something we want, then it goes on to a CAD. But like you said, it doesn't end there. You really enjoy photographing these pieces, showing people how the design became reality.
We have so much fun with that, especially when it comes to the casting phase, because we'll have people, when we're going to do a custom pour of the metal, and it is gold or silver and it's being done here, they can actually come and watch through our observation window as we're pouring that metal. So when the crucible goes by, you can feel the heat through the glass, but you're in a completely safe environment. We've had a lot of people bring in their children, just because when you're growing up, I was never told I could get into the jewelry business. I was always told you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an accountant. And counselors in schools don't talk so much about those hands-on jobs that you can have, and they're still very much viable options. And so I want kids to start to get excited about it, because I don't think my generation should be the last generation of great jewelers.
Absolutely. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there for the last time you're going to see her website. The contact information is right there. We're talking about a very customized approach she has taken, brand new for 2013, conveniently located right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Feel free to reach out to her team, and like you say, when you walk through the doors, basically plan on being educated about your jewelry and understanding what goes into the making and creation of something that you're going to probably pass on as an heirloom for years to come. Check them out on Facebook. You can see all kinds of people that have been very happy with the work as well. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.